Hey y'all, Molly and Pam here with the latest update on what's going on with the August Borden community reaction and investigation. So much has happened even since we last talked to y'all on Friday. Of course, we were talking about Friday Night Lights. And y'all, you're not going to believe this. And maybe some of you will, those who were there and those who've shared it. But, apparently the quarterback's name is Price, and he's the person of interest that the Madison County DA basically cleared. Allegedly, he bear hugged August Borden and accidentally dropped him, and it caused these severe injuries. It caused him to be life flighted to Birmingham. And so this has been a huge controversy throughout the community. It's divided people within the community. Madison County DA said it's just a tragic freak accident, but this is not over. People don't believe it, and they're still rallying behind this family. And so going back to that, at the game on Friday, when they had their first touchdown, they played The Price is Right. So going back to, some people are not happy about this. Some people are happy with the results of the investigation. This would be the side of the stadium that is good with what happened, as far as like Madison County saying, nothing to see here, keep it moving. I was surprised. I mean, especially with this hashtag stay mad. And there were like a young girl and her grandma, I guess it was, or mom. I couldn't really tell.
Somebody grown that should know better than that.
Right. And they're like, they had the Price is Right button. But it does make you kind of wonder, like, are they going to get, is that some kind of copyright infringement?
I'm sure they're stepping off into something that's not so smart to do. But I mean, that's like mocking and that's even bullying.
Well,
Why
and
would
again,
you do that?
If it was truly an accident, everybody would have been lining up to visit him at the hospital. There would have been cards, there would have been flowers, there would have been some kind of a tribute. They'd be like giving updates. And instead it's this, nothing to see here. We're all quiet. We'll do the yellow dot on our helmets when other teams are wanting to do yellow ribbons or make it known that they support August. And instead, it's this rallying cry of like, yay, Price. That's unbelievable to me.
It was. And the hashtag of stay mad, that's not therapeutic. That's not Christian. That's not good. And that's part of the problem. I don't know if folks understand. It's dividing everything. The school, the folks, the churches, the businesses. Yeah, and speaking of businesses, some of the businesses up there have said, you know what? We are tired of this. We want to do what's right. So they're offering a reward, and they want to know, as the businesses, so now is the price right?
Yeah, exactly.
$8,500 at last look. And that's several businesses. And that way, and they're saying you can stay anonymous, and that it can be Cash App, or you got to go to certain place or something. But anyway, isn't that sad that we have to, but I mean, it's therapeutic or at work, whatever we got to do here. It's sad that somebody can't come and tell the truth, because what is not negotiable or what is not in dispute is that August damn near died if he didn't. And look what happened to him. That is not acceptable. That price is his life. And that is not right.
That's right. $8,500 for any kind of video or pictures of this incident, because there is speculation that this is coming from August's dad, Jason Borden. It's also coming from other people in the community who have evaluated his injuries, but they're saying this did not happen from a simple fall. His doctor alone said, 2 orbital fractures, skull fracture, brain injuries. This is not a simple fall. So there are those who think, and you talked about it last time, that perhaps this happened in the weight room. They were coming from practicing in the weight room or doing what they do. And anyway, and that there are scrapes on his knees. So his dad and others believe he was moved, and that this story about falling down the steps was just something that they came up with to explain these injuries. But there's so many unanswered questions. And I tell you what, when you look at what Tim Gann said, that's the deputy chief DA in Madison County, I was surprised, by the way, that he did a call-in show.
Yeah, the investigator.
I don't know why he feels like that's supposed to be an answer to this community outrage. Well, you could have called in. So, you really think so? And then they want to refer to all this community outrage as rumors on the internet. And I mean, it's just a way, to me, in my opinion, because I've been reporting a long time, y'all, and there is a standard response when people when they know that they're feeding you something you don't necessarily want. And it is to minimize and shame and degrade anybody who really doesn't agree with them. And that's the way it came across to me. It came across very like, keep it moving. I know you want to rubberneck at this accident, but this isn't a big deal. We got this taken care of. Y'all just keep on playing. And then a caller even mentioned about, Well, what Pam and I talked about on Friday, which was the Snapchat boys, with the picture that was posted, and Adrian and Price, and Adrian was saying, beat the case. And then he followed up later on saying, no, I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have done that. That was disrespectful. So a caller asked about that particular picture of this Tim Gann. And Tim Gann was like, well, yeah, it kind of made me, kind of made my stomach turn or whatever it was. High blood pressure, a negative reaction. But then he never really did expand on that. So, lots of things give me high blood pressure. Too much salt gives me high blood pressure. Watching a scary movie gives me high blood pressure. But, a kid's life isn't on the line. And again, what is this no tolerance policy at Tuscumbia? Even if it was an accident, you've already admitted this kid touched him. He had no business touching him. Right. Whether it was banter, whether it was horseplay, that has no business. He has no business laying hands on him and not having any accountability for that. Right. And they want to read into his intent, that his intent wasn't to hurt. And I mean, that may be true, but lots of people are still held accountable for doing things they should have done, even if they didn't necessarily have the intent. And how do we know what his intent was? Nobody really seems to be telling the truth anywhere around those people. Right.
Well, and they said it started out with some little pestering. And I mean, like I said, in sports, if you can't take some chatter, hustle, hold 'em, and back and forth from people, maybe you need to go sit by your mom in the stands.
Right. And who is this football player that approves playing the prices right, that is all good with everybody rallying around? I mean, is this kid going to be president of the United States and everybody's got to put their business on the line or their reputations on the line to lie for this kid, if that's what's happening?
Well, I wouldn't be prepared to do that for anybody. But also, like with all that going on too, Tim Gann, he often calls August Austin. So I'm like, we might.
Does he even know who he's investigating?
We might want to zero in on that. Yeah. So I mean, and then we got all this stuff where the community's having to go, well, if y'all are going to try to put us together and help us and stuff, I do not know, when you have a division and you get out there and you want to wear a badge that alienates people. And that's not kind-hearted at all. But you hashtag want to stay mad. How about stay good or stay kind? Or how about do the right thing hashtag?
Or how about get well soon August?
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense. If it really is as simple as people want us to believe, then why would you have this reaction?
Right. I talk about that movie on Netflix, Your Honor, that movie. And if people have seen it, then you probably know. That movie or series or whatever starts with one lie, and it goes all the way through, and it just decimates a town, people's families, decades and generations and futures and any kind of hope because of one lie by a judge, that he couldn't bring himself to tell the truth. What I want to encourage people to do, if you know the truth, tell the truth. I don't understand why that's hard.
And it's a shame if money is the incentive, but if that's what encourages some people to come forward with any kind of evidence or any kind of videos, I mean, they talk about having real-time texts. If kids had their phones, there's pictures, there's video.
Oh, yeah. Well, August Borden is way, way, way more important than a little football game and football team and whomever. Who's in charge? And if we don't know who's in charge, there certainly is a handbook for every school in the world. And what do we decided with their handbook? Meh. We'll follow if we want to.
Right, because we talked to other parents who said that we talked to one set of parents who talked about their son in an incident that happened, and basically he was trying to defend himself from a bully, and that wasn't taken into account, and the school punished him equally as the person who essentially choked this kid, so they don't feel like they're getting justice at all.
Well, and that's not fair, because the person that put their hands on August, the persons that put their hands on August, and then at the beginning, remember, said, well, he fell out of the bleachers. He fell out down the stairs and he ends up at the top. There's been all kind of bizarro stuff that doesn't even make bad sense, So, and that the coach said, I was there within a minute. Well, where were you anyway? I still am going to have a hard time with, if you cannot march all these boys, however many there are, 40, from point A to point B, I don't think you need to be the coach anymore. And if you can't tell the truth, and if you cannot do the honorable thing, then, you do not need to be coaching these young boys.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of questions remain. A lot of people in the community still want to know what's going on. Tuscumbia City Schools says they are still investigating, even though the Madison County DA was responsible for the criminal investigation. They have an attorney who's continuing to look into it. Most recently, they said that it might be wrapped up within 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll find out what their attorney has to say. But regardless of what their attorney has to say, unless it's more consistent with what we've seen as far as a reasonable explanation of these injuries, a reasonable explanation of why these children have camps of stay mad,
right.
I think that will not be satisfying to anyone unless we start getting some real answers.
No. Well, and you and I saw earlier where there's now an AI version of on the internet, like on TikTok, and it's the craziest thing because it's using other people trying to make it look like August is talking and this, that, and the other. We've also already been by before when this first happened, when we were trying to figure out what's happening, when we got gaslit by Dr. Mark McElwain and the judge doubling down, Chad Smith right behind him and stuff. We've been through so much. It's ridiculous.
Well, and I feel like it's almost like a vestige to back in the 1950s and 60s when they're just a bunch of guys standing around going, we're in charge, we say how it is, and you're supposed to believe us.
Keep
and
it moving.
if you don't believe us, then, well, I guess you might just have to be all quieted down now.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't make any, like we're well beyond that. You don't get to just show up and tell us how it is. We live in an age where evidence matters, and the truth certainly matters in any age, but certainly now we can back it up more so than ever before.
Definitely. And the thing is, all eyes are on Deschler. All eyes are on Tuscumbia. We've even got like Agent Baker. He's on TikTok a lot, and he's been like on the special teams, and he knows about interrogation, and he knows about, mixing it up with folks. And then we got our little guy. His name is Terrence, I believe is his name. He's a TikTok guy, and he is like, he does like We Are Human, I believe. And he's just for, what's right. And so this passion is coming. We're in Pensacola and we care because this is not right. And we're going to keep asking questions and keep investigating. And this girl right here is an investigative reporter. So there's that.
Yeah, exactly. But Pam's right. We're not going to let this go. We're going to continue to follow it right here from Pensacola, Florida on Gulf Coast Confidential. If you have any information, again, they're offering a reward in Tuscumbia, $8,500 for pictures, videos of what may have happened. And if you just want to come forward and tell something even anonymously, you're welcome to reach out to us at Gulf Coast Confidential. Certainly reach out to any number of people there in the Tuscumbia community who are searching for answers. So we appreciate you joining us. Just know that we're here to listen and to support August Borden, and we hope that soon this family will get some real answers.